Well, hello, my friend. My name is Joe Bakmotsky. I am the founder of Power to Be Happy and also the author of this beautiful book, Finding Hope in Times of Uncertainty, a guide to thriving in a challenging world of today. And a huge part of that is contribution. So let me ask you this question first. When you look back on your life, what are some of the things that you're proud of the most? What are you proud of in terms of achieving? What are you proud of in terms of giving? What makes you feel that sense of accomplishment, makes you feel that sense of achievement? I'd really love for you to take a moment right now to really think about something that really speaks to you and something that really comes from the heart, whether it was something that you spent years working towards, or maybe something that happened in the spur of a moment, right? Because these things can work in different ways. So what is it for you? What has it made you feel proud of what you've done? And maybe you had the chance to kind of just have something that came up for you. And what I find fascinating in asking this question is almost universally, it ends up being something that has to do with other people. One way or another, it's either directly helps someone who maybe was in a difficult spot, or maybe it's in some way inspired them. It made the world around you a better place. It gave someone a chance to look up and wonder at what's possible. It made someone's life better, whether it was directly or indirectly. And that's what a contribution really is. Really, contribution is all about giving something to other people. Whether that's something you do yourself, whether that's something that you do in terms of achieving something, but one way or another, it has to do with people around you. That's how you contribute. You get that sense of accomplishment. And it's really a personal feeling, right? You don't have to come at it from a perspective of doing something specifically for someone else, right? Because it will just benefit somebody else. Because ultimately what ends up happening, it helps you to feel a specific way. It makes you feel accomplished. It makes you kind of feel more centered. It makes you feel better about yourself. And there is absolutely nothing in the world that is wrong with feeling in that way. I really believe that we are designed to feel good about ourselves. That is until all the problems and all the doubts start getting in the way. So we kind of spend most of our lives trying to dig it out and just kind of like shove it aside. But that's what contribution helps us do. It helps us to really be in a place in life where you feel ultimately better about yourself and the world around you, right? Because when you look at things that you're proud of, things that make you feel accomplished and make you feel like have that sense of achievement, something that is kind of meaningful for you and your way of life, it's also worth considering, like, was it something that you planned for, or did it happen on its own? And if it did happen deliberately, or maybe it did something that came up spontaneously, is it something that you can do more of? I know it's such a basic question, but oftentimes we forget the things that we've done, the things that you have achieved, and they may have been as simple as making someone else smile, making someone else feel appreciated, making someone else feel loved. even if they know you love them. There is nothing like feeling that on the inside and being reminded about that in a conscious way. So contribution can take so many different forms. Right? Contribution doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be, out volunteering, for example. Although that's incredible if that's what you do or would like to give it a try. There's so many ways to give, right? It's also the flip side of feeling in this way, of feeling good about yourself and the world around you and what you're doing to make that happen. The flip side of that is regret. And we don't often think about that because we've got things that we are proud of, but really, contribution is our way to kind of avoid feeling regret. I just remember distinctly this conversation I had with my grandma when she was 95. And she said to me, you know what, in my work, she's been a doctor for all her life. She said, in my work, I wish I should have pushed harder. I wish I would have done more in my career in terms of academically. I could have done so much more. And I said, Grandma, but this is crazy. Like, look at yourself. You've had this incredible life. You helped thousands and thousands of people. You have a disease named after you. Like, you're good. You have nothing to worry about. And, I'll never forget when she said to me, but you know what? When you get to my age, the things that you look back on are the things that you know you should have done. And you didn't. And that kind of just shook me up. It shook me up because it made me realize. It made me realize just how much I want to avoid that feeling of regret, like looking back at your life and thinking, you know what, I should have done this. I could have done that. I could have pushed myself harder. Because in my mind, there is absolutely nothing in the world being in a place where you get to, feel, well, listen, I have done everything that I can to find love, to feel like I made a huge difference to other people. Like I've achieved something incredible in my career. There is nothing wrong with feeling like I have done everything, even if you didn't get that. Even if you did not get to achieve that whatever you set out to do, whatever speaks to your heart, whatever speaks to the person that you are today, whatever is right for you and your way of life, if you go after that and you give it your absolute best and you don't get that, that's okay. Because you have zero regrets in your life. And that's what I would urge you to do, my friend, is to consider the path of a regret-free life. Because if this is what you want to be doing with your life from this moment on, I'm not talking about the past. I'm not talking about the things that have happened or that did not happen for you, because we all have that. We all have mistakes. We all have bad decisions. We all have the things that we should have done, right? Deep inside that we know that didn't go your way. But that's in the past. What matters is today. The choices that you make today, the choices that each of us in the world that we live in make today about what you're going to do now. And if you're going to make a choice to go forward and be bold and be bold. Like, just go for whatever dream you have. Go for whatever aspiration that you have for yourself, whatever the vision might be. And it doesn't mean it has to be something epic and life changing. Maybe maybe your aspiration is to be a good person. Maybe your aspiration is to be a great parent. Maybe you just want to be a person that people come to in your community for support and advice. If that's what it is, like, that's incredible. That's an amazing ambition that you can have in your life. And not only that, when you really go for it, when you go for that ambition and you give yourself fully to it, first of all, you are going to be on your way to living a regret-free life. Because you know that even if you get to that point and you didn't achieve everything that you set out to achieve in the first place, you'll be able to look back on and say, hey, you know what? I've done everything that I can to make it happen, even if it didn't turn out the way that you intended. That's okay, but you'll be living a regret-free life, and you'll be making an incredible contribution to humanity. I know that sounds so kind of, ambitious and grand and saying like contribution to humanity, but that's what it's all about. Our contribution to humanity is to strive forward, is to go along with for your dreams, for your ambitions, for the hopes that you have for yourself and the world around you, because your hopes and dreams, whether that's directly or indirectly, are going to help and influence and support other people. And hopefully you have aspirations to make this world in some way a better place. And if that's the case, that becomes a contribution. That becomes a contribution to people around you who feel inspired by that. How rare, let's be honest here, how rare is it to see someone who is really going for it? How rare is it to see someone who, has dreams and hopes and ambitions and is not afraid to talk about it or to show it, right? Because we all are afraid of being seen small. We're all afraid of looking back on ourselves and going, oh, well, I've done all of this effort, but it didn't work out. Whether that's in losing weight, or whether that's in achieving your dream career, right? Whatever that is for you, right? It's so rare to see people who really go for it. And that in itself is a huge inspiration for other people, especially considering the fact that most of the time, you will be what you specifically do turns out helping and encouraging and supporting other people. Whether that's specifically, directly through your actions, or whether that's something that's going to come to them from as kind of an output or the outcome of your work. Right? It's going to have people support them in leading better lives. That's what the contribution is about. And it's a cycle. It's a cycle that does not happen in isolation. It does not happen in isolation. And the first critical part of contribution is that you create something that matters. Create something that matters to you in your life right now, that you create, or maybe don't specifically create as in you have to invent something, but you can be taking part. You can be taking part in an organization. You can be taking part in a community group. You can be taking part in a cause that really speaks to you. That's creation. One way or another, it's about creating something that wasn't there. Whether that's from a sense of being a part of it, like directly, or whether it's something that you decide to kind of kick off yourself, whatever that is, but you start with creating. And that has to speak to something that you care about, something that you know why you're doing it. It has to be personal. And that's why I would urge you in wanting to contribute to our world and to your world. You want to know why are you doing something? What is going to give you that sense of accomplishment, of making you feel good? Like, who do you want to help and why? That's the big question I want you to think about right now. Who do you want to help in your life and why? That will just make it incredibly clear for you. Like, what are the options? Like, what can you actually go out and do and create and be part of and support? That's what's going to make the big, big difference. Create. The second part of our cycle of contribution is cope. Ultimately, everything that we are doing in life, when it involves other people, as it inevitably does, is helping people cope with life in a better way. Right? Because life, you're here, you know this. Life oftentimes can be a struggle. We all go through difficult times in our life. We all face loss. We all face doubts. We all have challenges and obstacles that stand in our way or that we have to live with, right? They're a part of our lives, whether they're to do with health, whether they're to do with the circumstances that you find yourself in, whatever the case might be. But what you're doing, whether that's through your actions, you end up supporting and inspiring and guiding people when you have positive intent, when you do good in the world, when you chase your dream, when you contribute to a cause that you care about, when you're part of a project that does something meaningful and makes some kind of a difference to the world around you, that helps people cope. That gives people hope that something can change, that they can do better for themselves. And that is an incredible legacy that you can have starting today. Because helping someone cope is not trifle, is not something that, to be discarded or thrown away. Helping someone cope is an incredible gift to a person. Because when they can feel that they can cope better with what's happening in their life, whether that's your partner, whether that's someone in your family, whether it's your friend, whether it's your workmate, whether it's some person you'll never meet because of what you've done, but it helped them. It helped them to believe in themselves a little bit more. When it helps them to get through the day, that is the day when you made the contribution to this world. And that is the day when you can feel just proud of yourself. And wouldn't that be a great feeling to live with? A feeling of being proud of the contribution that you make in some way. How cool is that? And that leads us to the third part of the cycle of contribution. And that is care. Because when you feel like you can cope with something just a little bit better, when you feel that you're not alone, you also end up giving that feeling and passing that on to people around you. to your community, to your circle of friends and family and people you might work with or be involved in some way. That's what starts happening. We all start caring a little bit more about each other. That is the chain that we're all linked with in such an incredible way. Right? We're all like linked in a chain of being there because we don't exist in a vacuum. Isn't that true? We're all a part of this world, whether we see it or not. And I know that sounds so, that sounds so, so kind of, I guess, grand and this some kind of scale, and it sounds so pompous even. But the reality is, it's true. We all in some way live in kind of a place of experience connection. And we all seek that connection. And when we help each other, when we create things for one another, or take part in this, when we help each other cope with things, we help and support caring for one another. And the level of caring, it goes up. So those actions that you take on every single day, no matter how small they are, whether that's inspiring someone, whether that's supporting someone, whether that's guiding a person, whether that's, going after something that feels real to you, that contributes to that cycle of giving, the cycle of contribution, because ultimately it all comes back to you. What you end up doing through creating good things out in the world. When you help people cope, we all start caring more for each other. And that, my friend, is the essence of contribution. So when you stop for this moment today, and we finish this conversation, I want you to think of what would be the one thing that you can do that you feel would make your world a better place. Helping someone, guiding someone, inspiring someone with your dreams, with what you believe in, with what you think is important. What's the one thing that you could do today to make that happen and lead a regret-free life? My name is Joe Bakmulski. Thank you so much for being here. I'll talk to you soon.